Oh man, apparently I never learned my lesson. I bought another MoonSwatch. In fact, I bought two more MoonSwatches. I was passing the Swatch store here in New York City. I walked in and I ended up buying two of them. I put the MoonSwatch on my worst watches of 2022. However, I also put them on the list for the best watches of 2022. So obviously, I am very torn about these watches in general. I think they're great value, but at the same time, I think they're terrible value. I think they feel cheap, but I really like the way that they look. They look like a Speedmaster. You really can't go wrong with a watch that looks like a Speedmaster, that is technically made by Swatch, but actually has the Omega name on it. So I can see why people really love these watches. But I also featured a fake version, an AliExpress version I actually got off of eBay, on my channel that was kind of better quality than the original, the one that's made by Swatch. Today we're going to take a look at the Mission to Mercury. I have the Mission to Moon. I actually owned a few others. I sold those. I kept the Mission to the Moon because I really like the way the watch looks. I really love the Mission to Mercury. I think it's the best looking MoonSwatch. So let's flip the camera and take a look at the details on the Mission to Mercury, where I bought it, and a little bit of the details on what Swatch are doing currently with these watches. So last week I decided to stop by the Swatch store on 5th Avenue here in New York City, and I was very surprised to learn that they had almost every single MoonSwatch in stock, including this Mercury, which is one that I've been chasing for a little while. It's originally the one that I wanted. The Mission to the Moon also, obviously I already bought that one, but now I have this one and I'm really happy about it. I also bought another one. They had every single one in stock except for Neptune. However, they did say that there are a few stores that are getting the Neptune in stock as well. So for those who want to collect all of them, you will be able to if you go to a store. Now, I know a lot of people are upset, including myself, the fact that they did not end up putting these online, and a lot of people really got mad about that. They still charge $260 for these watches. They aren't changing the price. In fact, I would imagine they will eventually raise the price on these watches. They sold about 1 million of them in 2022. That is a lot of watches. A lot of watches. Now, they do charge $260, so you do the math. There's a lot of money going back and forth with these new MoonSwatches, and I don't think they're going to give up on this anytime soon. I think they're probably going to come out with a new version of something else eventually. Maybe it's a Seamaster version or something, maybe a dive style watch, who knows. But again, this is a bioceramic watch that is based on the Speedmaster. It looks like a Speedmaster. It has a Speedmaster case, essentially a one-for-one copy of that case made out of bioceramic. Bioceramic is basically plastic and ceramic. It feels like plastic. This is the Mission to Mercury. So what you're getting here is a gray black case. So it's a little bit darker than the Mission to the Moon. It doesn't look like stainless steel. It looks like a stainless steel case that's been coated, or a ceramic case. That's kind of the reason why I really like this version, because it reminds me of the dark side of the moon. I think that's probably what they were going for, maybe, even though it's a Mercury. It looks like the dark side of the moon. You also have this black bezel, and that's just the sticker that sits on top. Then, of course, you have a plastic crystal. The plastic crystals, of course, not as good as an acrylic crystal. You are not really able to buff these out very well. And the more you buff it out, obviously, the thinner it gets. So you will get scratches on this. You could buff it out a few times, but after a while, it's going to get thin and you are not able to replace them, because obviously this is a one-piece case. So this case is hermetically sealed. And if you look at the case back, this is not a screwed in case back. It's not a snap-in case back. The only thing that comes off on this case is this little planet right there, which is Mercury. That pops up and you can change the battery. Everything else is fused together. And if you want to service this watch, you cannot. I'm sure there are people out there who are able to service this in some way by removing the glass and then replacing it. I have no idea if that is something that is happening. However, I do know that there are a lot of people making custom things for MoonSwatches. In fact, on AliExpress, you can now get a stainless steel case for a MoonSwatch. So in other words, you just have to have a donor watch. You crack it open and put the movement, the hands, the dial into that new case, and there you go. So it looks like a Speedmaster case. Obviously, it's a Chinese-made case. And that's it. I mean, they look pretty good. You could put it on a bracelet, especially if you use one like the Mission to the Moon or Mercury. It looks like a Speedmaster, as close to a Speedmaster as you can get, even though it's still a MoonSwatch. This is a 41 millimeter watch, maybe a little bit over that, probably around 42 millimeters, 41.7, just below 42 millimeters. It's 39.9 millimeters at the bezel. It's almost the same, almost exactly the same as a MoonWatch. And obviously that's because they essentially use the MoonWatch case as a template. 12.9 millimeters thick, and the crown is a decent 6 millimeters, 6.1 millimeters. Lug to lug on here, 47 millimeters, 47.1, somewhere around there. And it does come on, I like the color of the strap, a really cheap strap. These straps are horrible. A lot of people replace them. They are Velcro straps and they don't last very long. They begin to crack and they begin to fade immediately. Especially if you keep on folding it over, eventually the Speedmaster will wear off. You know, it's just something to be said. And I'm not sure about the mercury on the back, the planets that they put on the hatches. I'm not sure if they react with skin and eventually wear away as well. These are not exactly everyday watches. I've said this in many other videos that I've made for the MoonSwatch. These are not everyday watches. These aren't disposable watches. I think people think that they're just garbage and you could just throw them away. If you don't wear this on a very regular basis, you could keep this for many, many years. Is it something you're going to hand down to your children? Quite possibly, if you take really good care of it. So this is a watch that you have to really think about and take care of. Whereas if you were owning a Speedmaster, let's say, made out of stainless steel with an acrylic crystal, you would have no problem keeping that watch for the rest of your life. And then you could, of course, hand that down. This watch you're gonna have to think about and not really knock around very much because it is made out of plastic and basically every component is made out of plastic. The strap will not last. It's just something to keep in mind. But do I think they're a fun watch? Yes. Do I think $260 is too much money for them? Yes. I've said this many times as well. I think this is a $150 watch. That's where I think this should actually lie. It has lume. Lume is not great. I will throw it on my wrist and then we will do a quick lume shot and wrap up the video. The watch that I have on today is the watch that I was actually picking up while I was in New York City at Watchbox. And this is the Ingenieur from IWC. It is their, I think it's their second most complicated watch that they make. This is a perpetual calendar, which has a digital display for the day and the month. And then on top of that, it is a chronograph with a flyback function. These three bottom registers are sapphire. It's in grade 5 titanium. It's 120 meters of water resistance. It's automatic. I mean, the spec list on this goes on and on. It's also ceramic, so you have ceramic pushers, real ceramic, not like the MoonSwatch, which has plastic ceramic. Really a very complicated watch. I think the only watch that was more complicated that they were making when that came out was a constant force tourbillon. And that was a $260,000 watch or somewhere around there. Could have been more than that, but I think that's the only closest price that I could find on that watch. But really interesting, and I really love that watch. Video for that going to be dropping pretty soon. But there you go. I'm going to change the strap on here. I love the way that this watch looks. In fact, I really love the way this watch looks on this strap. But I know this strap will not last. Maybe I'll wear it on it for a little while, and then when I see it start to degrade a little bit, I will replace it. I have no idea if Swatch are selling straps for these watches as replacements. That's a really good question, and the next time I go to the Swatch store, I will ask, and hopefully I'll have that answer for the next video that I do for a MoonSwatch. Anyway, There you go. On my 7.5 inch wrist is a 42 millimeter, maybe 41.5 millimeter watch. It's a little less than 13 millimeters thick. I gotta say, it's a really good looking watch. This is a very good looking watch in this colorway, in my opinion. Very quickly, let's do a lume shot and wrap up the video. There you go. Pretty good lume, not terrible, not great. $260, definitely would like to see more lume, but that's what it is. This is what Swatch is offering. It's not terrible. This chronograph does align. So this is one of the first that I've had that does align. And also I'd like to mention that there aren't many heavy scratches on this crystal. So this plastic crystal is pretty clear compared to others that I have owned. So I'm actually pretty surprised by that. This is pretty good. And others that I've owned have been pretty heavily scratched right out of the box. This one is not. So maybe they're getting a handle on this as they sort of wind down production a little bit. I think they're, not flying off the shelves as they were before. And now if you really do want one, you can go out to a store and buy one. Just, pretty cool that these are going to be available. I don't think they'll ever put them online, but who knows? Maybe they will change their mind about that again. Tell me what you guys think down in the comments below. I know a lot of people's feelings have changed about this watch. I'd like to hear from you guys. Please rant down below if you want to, or tell me why you like the watch. I'd like to hear both sides of the story. Obviously, I like it because I went and bought 2 of them. So, I do like these watches. I still think they're cool. I think this is a very good looking one, in my opinion. I think the Mission to the Moon and this Mission to Mercury are the 2 that look the best. Tell me what you think down in the comments below. I want to hear from you guys. Please also don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell icon. It is super helpful for the channel and I very much appreciate it. Anyway, guys, I'll catch you in the next video.